If someone tells you they love you, but your chest tightens instead of softening, what does that say about you, and what does it say about them? And here's the more uncomfortable question you've probably avoided your entire life. What if you've mistaken intensity for love, attention for care, and chaos for passion, and what if that misunderstanding has silently shaped every relationship you've ever had? Because the truth is, real love doesn't announce itself loudly, it doesn't chase you breathless, and it definitely doesn't make you anxious at 2 a.m. wondering where you stand. And if that sentence triggered even a small reaction inside you, stay with me, because what you're about to hear might force you to confront a truth about love that feels unsettling precisely because it's real. Most people don't realize this, but the human brain is wired to confuse emotional unpredictability with depth. When affection comes inconsistently, when warmth is followed by distance, the brain releases more dopamine, not because the connection is healthy, but because it's uncertain. And that uncertainty creates obsession. You replay conversations, overanalyze silence, and slowly mistake that mental noise for love. But here's the painful part no one says out loud. The person who truly loves you will never turn your nervous system into a battlefield. If you've ever felt like love required constant emotional vigilance, ask yourself, why does something meant to feel safe feel like survival? And before you answer, notice how your body reacts to that question, because your body remembers truths your mind has been trained to ignore. Psychologically, love isn't proven through intensity, it's revealed through regulation. A person who truly loves you gives you something rare in this world: emotional steadiness. Not excitement, not drama, not endless reassurance, but calm. When they enter your life, your thoughts slow down instead of racing. You don't feel the need to perform, impress, or shrink yourself. And yet, here's where the fear creeps in: many people reject this kind of love because it feels unfamiliar, even boring. The brain whispers, this can't be it, simply because chaos has been normalized for too long. So let me ask you something uncomfortable: are you chasing people who excite your wounds instead of heal them? And if so, what part of you is afraid of peace? There's a quiet sign of real love that almost no one talks about. It's not what someone says when things are going well, it's what they give you when nothing is happening at all. A person who truly loves you gives you emotional permission. Permission to rest, to be imperfect, to exist without proving your worth. Around them, silence doesn't feel threatening. You're not scrambling to fill gaps with jokes, explanations, or apologies. And if that idea feels foreign, pause for a moment and ask yourself why silence has felt unsafe in past relationships. Because the absence of pressure is often the presence of love, and that realization alone changes everything. But here's where it gets even deeper. True love doesn't just give you comfort, it gives you freedom. And not the kind of freedom people romanticize, but the kind that actually challenges you. When someone truly loves you, they don't cage you with dependency or control. They don't need constant access to your attention to feel secure. Instead, they encourage your growth, even when that growth doesn't center them. And this is where many relationships quietly fail, because insecure attachment craves possession, not partnership. So ask yourself honestly, have you ever been loved in a way that allowed you to become more of yourself instead of less? And if not, what did you call love before? Here's the emotional truth that hits hardest when you're finally ready to hear it: people who truly love you do not compete with your peace. They protect it. They don't provoke jealousy to feel desired. They don't withdraw affection to gain control. They don't make you guess. And yet, many people feel disappointed when love feels simple, because they've been conditioned to associate suffering with sincerity. If love hasn't hurt, they think it hasn't mattered. But what if the opposite is true? What if the relationships that broke you were never deep, just loud? And what if the love you overlooked was quiet because it didn't need to shout to be real? There's a psychological pattern that explains why emotionally healthy love often arrives unnoticed. The brain adapts to familiar pain faster than unfamiliar peace. So when someone offers consistency, respect, and emotional presence, the mind sometimes resists, not because it's wrong, but because it's new. And that resistance often shows up as doubt. You start questioning attraction, chemistry, excitement. But what you're really questioning is whether you're allowed to feel safe without earning it. And that realization can be terrifying, because it dismantles the belief that love must be fought for. So let me ask you, who taught you that love needs to be proven through endurance? A person who truly loves you gives you something else, something even rarer than time or attention. They give you emotional reliability. Their words align with their actions. Their presence doesn't disappear when things get inconvenient. And over time, you begin to trust not just them, but yourself. You stop second-guessing your feelings. You stop walking on eggshells. And here's the part that might sting: if someone's affection made you doubt your worth, question your sanity, or feel too much, that wasn't love testing you. That was insecurity projecting itself onto you. And deep down, you've always known the difference, haven't you? The most powerful shift happens when you realize that love isn't about being chosen repeatedly. It's about not being abandoned emotionally while being known. When someone truly loves you, they don't love the version of you that performs best, they love the version that's tired, unsure, and human. And that kind of love doesn't arrive dramatically. It arrives quietly, often when you've stopped chasing intensity. And that's when the final question emerges, the one that lingers long after this video ends. If real love feels calm, safe, and freeing, are you ready for it? Or are you still addicted to the chaos that once felt like home? Because here's what happens next, and almost no one prepares you for it. When real love finally enters your life, it doesn't feel like fireworks, it feels like relief. And that relief can be so unfamiliar that your mind panics. You start searching for problems that don't exist. You wonder why your heart isn't racing, why you're not anxious, why you're not checking your phone every 5 minutes. And instead of asking, "Why do I feel safe?" you ask, "Why do I feel nothing?" But that question hides a deeper fear. What if peace feels empty only because you've been conditioned to survive emotional storms? And if that's true, then what does healing actually demand from you? Psychology tells us something uncomfortable here. The nervous system doesn't instantly trust calm if it grew up in chaos. It scans for danger even in healthy environments. That's why some people self-sabotage right when things start feeling stable. They pull away, create distance, or unconsciously provoke conflict, not because they don't care, but because familiarity feels safer than healing. And if you've ever walked away from someone who treated you well, only to chase someone who didn't, pause and sit with that pattern. Because that pattern isn't about love, it's about conditioning. And the moment you recognize it, a new question opens: are you choosing partners, or are your wounds choosing for you? A person who truly loves you doesn't trigger your fear of abandonment, they slowly dismantle it. They don't rush you to trust them, but they stay consistent long enough that trust grows naturally. And this is where many people get it wrong. They expect love to convince them with grand gestures, when in reality, love proves itself through repetition. Through showing up when it's boring. Through staying when there's nothing to gain. And over time, something subtle but profound happens: your guard lowers without you noticing. And when you realize it has lowered, you feel exposed. That exposure can feel terrifying, or liberating. Which one it becomes depends on whether you believe you deserve safety. Let's talk about the mistake that quietly destroys potential love more than betrayal ever could. Comparing healthy love to past chaos. When you measure a calm connection against an emotionally volatile one, calm will always seem weaker, but that's an illusion. It's like comparing a steady heartbeat to a panic attack and calling the panic more alive. One sustains you, the other exhausts you. And yet, so many people leave healthy relationships saying, something was missing, without realizing what was missing was anxiety. So here's the sharp question: if your definition of love includes suffering, who taught you that suffering equals depth? There's another truth people rarely admit out loud. When someone truly loves you, they don't just give you emotional safety, they also hold you accountable to your growth. Not through criticism, but through reflection. Around them, you start seeing your own patterns clearly. Your defenses become obvious. Your avoidance has nowhere to hide. And that can feel uncomfortable, even threatening. Because it's easier to blame emotionally unavailable people than to face your own fear of intimacy. So ask yourself honestly, are you running from love, or are you running from who you'd have to become if you stayed? The most mature form of love is quiet courage. The courage to stay present during discomfort. The courage to communicate instead of disappear. The courage to choose consistency over excitement. And that courage doesn't feel glamorous. It feels ordinary. But that ordinariness is where real connection lives. When someone truly loves you, they don't add noise to your life, they add clarity. And clarity can be disorienting if you've spent years in emotional fog. Suddenly, excuses don't work anymore. Mixed signals disappear. And you're left with a mirror instead of a mystery. And that mirror asks a dangerous question: without chaos to blame, who are you really? Here comes the emotional peak, the truth that often lands hardest. Many people say they want true love, but what they actually want is validation without vulnerability. They want to be chosen without being seen. But real love requires exposure. It asks you to be known, not just admired. And when someone truly loves you, they see your flaws clearly, and stay anyway. Not because they need you, but because they choose you. And if that idea scares you more than abandonment ever did, it's worth asking why being known feels more dangerous than being alone. In the end, a person who truly loves you gives you two things that change everything, not dramatically, not instantly, but permanently. They give you emotional safety that calms your nervous system, and they give you freedom that allows you to grow without fear of loss. And once you experience that, something irreversible happens. You can no longer romanticize inconsistency. You can no longer call anxiety passion. You can no longer shrink yourself to keep someone interested. And that's when the final realization settles in, quietly but firmly: love was never supposed to hurt you into becoming worthy, it was supposed to remind you that you already are. And now, the question isn't whether someone will love you this way. The real question is, will you stop settling for anything less once you know what real love actually feels like?